I volunteered. I thought I joined because I thought it was my duty to do so. I also thought that I was going to go one way or another, so I might as well go on my terms. So I stayed in ROTC, took the flight program, got my pilot's license, and everybody I knew, most everybody I knew, eventually went.
I was working at the time as a dishwasher in the hospital, and I said, this is not a future for me. I just had to do something else, and I knew I wanted to go in the Air Force anyway, just a matter of time. So when I graduated in June, I was gone in August.
I was a student at Ohio Wesleyan College in 1966, and I was in my sophomore year, and I was really struggling with trying to, really pursue the right kind of activities in college. I was becoming a very proficient bridge player and was discovering a social life that I never discovered while I was in high school. At the end of my first semester of my sophomore year, I got a letter from Ohio Wesleyan asking me to sit out for a semester and reflect on, the academic performance that I was achieving. And, of course, in 1966, that was, military suicide. That was like within 2 weeks, I got my notice for a draft physical.
I enlisted on my 17th birthday. It had nothing to do with the Vietnam War, which I knew very little about. I was going into the Navy anyway because my father was in the Navy. And my personal heroes were first my father and then President Kennedy.
Once I got drafted, the decision was made for me. The government made it. I didn't have to make it. They made it. They got me, and that was it.
I was approximately 21 years old, and myself and two of my best buddies from high school decided that we were going to go into the Army to take advantage of their electronic education programs. And we had hoped to go to Germany to drink beer and meet German women. I completed a year of cryptography repair, studying at Fort Monmouth. And then when it was time to be reassigned from Monmouth, our group, my class, was told we were going to Vietnam. And I could still vividly remember standing in front of the table saying, it's got to be a mistake. Please check your records. They said, nope, go get your weapon, and you're on your way to Vietnam.
Well, I come from a long line of Marines. I'm a third-generation combat Marine. My father served in Iwo Jima. My uncle's at Guadalcanal, and my other uncle's at the Chosin Reservoir, and I served in Vietnam. So it was just a continuation of a family heritage that continued in the Marine Corps.
When I was graduating high school, I knew I didn't have money for college. Thought that the military could provide that after I got out, and wanted to do something. Vietnam was really, at the height in 1967, and I thought I could make a difference and do something important.
I was always, as a young boy, I would watch Victory at Sea on television. I read a lot of the books about World War II Navy activities. I don't know. All other kids were reading other books. That's what I was reading. So I just had this this thing that said, I want to go in the Navy, and that was it.
This draft was over your head. It was like a sledgehammer, and you knew you were going to get either drafted or, you were going to get out of it one way or the other. And it kind of ruined your whole life, really. It directed you which way you were going to go. And you couldn't get a decent job because everybody knew you were going to be drafted. It was just a matter of time before they would find you,
My mother said there's something there from the U.S. government. Opened it up, and it says, report for induction. And, what's this? And Vietnam was really nothing then.
And I chose the Marine Corps. Why? I guess I thought that they were the best to learn how to fight with. And I was sort of like a street guy in a way, one of the real ruffian type guys. Not that I was a big fighter, but this is the impression I was and what I wanted to be. So I said, we'll go into the Marine Corps.
I graduated high school in 1965, and I graduated from a prep school in Newark. 95% of the class went on to college, but my father was ill, so I had to go to work. Probably wasn't the best time for that to happen, but in and about a year later, 1966, September, I got drafted.